12. Fleshly desire. The Lord. Now, we have worked through poverty and have seen the hostile issues which start to appear if they start to dominate. But we also have seen how it can be remedied, and why, and what advantages for people can grow out of the observance of this my teaching to you all for everyone. And thus we are finished with this plague and annoyance, and alongside come to a new field, which does not resemble what we just have worked through, but, nevertheless, stands in close relationship with it. This field is called lust of the flesh. Therein lies more or less the actual main evil for all people. From this lust originate nearly all bodily illnesses, and most certainly and surely all evils of the soul. Man can rid himself from every other sin easier than this, because the others have only outer motives. But this sin bears the motive in itself and in the sinful flesh. Therefore, you should draw your eyes away from the appealing dangers of the flesh for as long as you have not become masters over your flesh. Keep the children from the first fall, and preserve their innocence. And as adults, they will easily control their flesh and not easily come to a fall. But only once overlooked, and the evil spirit of the flesh has taken possession of the same. No devil is more difficult to be driven out of man than the flesh devil. Only through a lot of fasting and praying can it be removed from man. Beware to annoy the little ones, or to stimulate them by excessive cleaning, and to stimulate them by stimulating clothes, and to ignite their flesh. Woe to him who sins against the nature of the little ones. Truly, for him it would be better if he had never been born. The sinner against the holy nature of the youth, I myself will punish him with all the might of my wrath. Because if the flesh has become damaged once, the soul does not have any firm foundation anymore, and her perfection makes bad progress. What amount of work does it take for a soul to cure its damaged flesh and to make it completely without scars again? What fear does she not have to cope with if she notices the damage and weakness of her flesh, her earthly home? Who carries the guilt of it? The bad supervision of the children, and the many annoyances which are given to the children by all kind of things. Above all is the depravity of moral standards in the cities, always greater than in the countryside. Therefore, once as my disciples, draw people's attention and show them the many bad consequences which arise out of an too early break of the flesh. And many will take note of it, and many healthy souls will appear from that, in which the spirit is easier to awake, as it is currently the case with so many. Look at all the blind, the deaf, the cripples, the lepers, the gouty person. Look further at all the different illnesses, and with all kind of bodily illnesses afflicted children and adults. All are the result of a too early break of the flesh. No man should touch a maiden before he is 24 years old. You know it, how and where it is mainly to understand. And the maiden should be fully 18 years of age, or at least fully 17. Under this age, she is only grow ripe, and should not recognize a man, because before that time she is only here and there grow ripe. If she is touched too early by a randy man, she is already a broken flesh, and has become a weak and desirous soul. It is difficult to cure the flesh of a man, but many times more difficult this of a maiden, if she has broken before her time. First of all, she will not that easily deliver healthy children into this world, and secondly, she will become, from week to week, more sex-addicted, and finally become a whore, which is a most wretched disgrace mark for mankind, not so much for itself, but much more for those by which negligence they have become like that. Woe to him who uses the poverty of a maiden to break her flesh. Truly, for him it also would be better that he never had been born. Who has sex with an already spoilt whore, instead of turning her away from destruction by using the right means and to help her on the right path, will one day have to cope with a repeatedly strict judgment before me. Since someone hitting a healthy person did not sin so severely as someone who mistreated a cripple. Who slept with a fully ripe and healthy maiden has in fact also sinned. But since the caused evil is not of a particular harmful nature, especially if both parties are completely healthy, only a smaller judgment is placed on it. But who out of a pure, already old lecherousness does this to a no matter how ripe maiden, what he would do to a whore, without fathering of a living fruit in the lap of the maiden, will encounter a double judgment. But if he does this with a whore, he will have to cope with a tenfold judgment. Since a whore is a maiden which is in her flesh and her soul completely ruined and broken, who is helping her out of such great distress with a reasonable and loyal heart to me, will one day be large in my kingdom. Who sleeps with a whore for a contemptible pay, and makes her even worse as she was before, will one day be rewarded with the reward that every wilful killer receives in the mud pool which is prepared for all devils and their servants. Woe the country, woe the city, where prostitution is conducted, and woe the earth if this evil is getting out of control on her ground. Over such countries and cities, I will place tyrants as rulers, and they will have to burden the people with unreasonable loads, so that all flesh is starving, and let go of this most sacrilegious activity which one person can commit against his poor fellow people. But a whore should lose all honour and respect, even with those who have used her for a contemptible wage, and her flesh will in future become even more afflicted with all kind of incurable, or at least difficult to cure epidemic. But if one betters herself properly, she will be looked at with merciful eyes by me. But if any lecherous reaches for other satisfying means except the vessel which I have put in the lap of a woman, he will not easily reach the point to see my face. Indeed, Moses has ordered stoning for that, which I do not completely repeal, because it is a hard punishment for similar offences and offenders who already have fallen to the devil. But I only give you the fatherly advice to ban such sinners from society, to expose them to severe distress in a place of exile, and only if they come, nearly completely naked, to the borders of their home country, to re-accept them. Take them to a soul-heal institution, which they should not leave until such people have been completely rehabilitated. If they, many times tested, for a longer period of time, are able to completely prove their betterment, they are allowed to return to society. But if the slightest signs of sensuous challenges are recognizable, they rather should stay imprisoned for the rest of their lives, which is many times better and healthier than the uncontaminated people in a society become contaminated by them. You, Zorel, was in this regard also not very pure, since already as a boy you were afflicted with all kind of impurities, and was an irritating example for your fellow youth-mates. But it cannot count it as a sin against you, because you did not receive such upbringing from which you could have learned any kind of pure truth, which would have shown to you what, according to the order of God, is perfectly the right thing. Something better you only started to recognize after you got familiar with the rights of the citizens of Rome by an advocate. From then on, you were actually not an animal man anymore, but otherwise a first-class law distorter, and cheated your fellow neighbours wherever possible. But this is all over now, and you are standing according to your better judgment as a better person in front of me. But despite all this, I notice that there still exists a lot of fleshly lecherousness in you. I especially draw your attention to this point in which you should be very careful. Once you are stuck in a somewhat better life, your flesh, which is full of holes, will start to stir in its still by far not cured fragility, and you will have your troubles to calm it and to finally heal its old fragility completely. Therefore, be aware of any immoderateness, since in immoderateness dwells the seed of carnal lust. Be therefore moderate in everything, and never allow yourself to be tempted to immoderation with regard to eating and drinking. Otherwise, you will have a hard time to tame your flesh. And as such, we have also gone through the field of the flesh a little, as far as it is necessary for you. And now we want to enter another field, which can also be regarded as strong in you,